Hail Hydra. Hydra. Everything. Yeah. This kinda. I'm just too much lazy to play. Perfect. This one, everything is good. Everything is perfect, actually. Let's do this. I like do push-ups, what I can say. So today we will go a little bit more deep about back in Neverwinter. It's nothing special. It's more about all MMO RPGs. Because it's one YouTuber like Josh Strive Hines. He always have big opinion about all MMOs RPGs. What is kinda very cool. And yeah, I'm always just his videos because he's a fucking cool guy. But today I think we can go more deep to much more on his videos, because he's kind of speaking about all MMOs RPGs. It's kind of nice. He's not making content only like, let's say, on one MMORPGs. Oh my god, my English today is bad. And yeah, I'm just too much lazy to play Neverwinter. Somehow after all this shit, Neverwinter was not too much attractive anymore, at least for me. So yeah, let's just go and check. Should you play Neverwinter in 2021? I think he made this video even... Bah. I think, okay, microphone I think is okay, let's check. Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, he made this video even between mod 21. Or even between 20. I have no idea. Let's just go and check it. Let's just turn off this one, just go here, boost this one, bang.
To choose from which are worth your time and which... 2020 has not been the greatest of years, so you'd be forgiven for wanting to run off and live the next year inside a virtual world, but with so many games to choose from, which are worth your time and which just aren't worth the hard drive space? Let's find out. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. I'm Josh Strive Hayes, and today I'll be answering the question, should you play Neverwinter in 2021? We'll be looking at several aspects of the game.
Because some funny part, this streamer... Oh, hi baby, you banned it? Really? Yep. Yep, sunshine. Want some corn? Yeah, I mean, I'm like corn. Yeah, I get banned. And I still have no idea why I get banned. Cryptic just don't want to tell me why I get banned. But it is how it is, and it's nothing what I can change. Sadly. Yes, corn. I need to buy corn tomorrow. Maybe on Friday. So, funny part, this YouTuber, Josh Strive Hines, I don't know how to pronounce right. He was playing Neverwinter and kinda a lot. But when he realized what Cryptic is doing exactly with game, how Cryptic is pushing people just left and right, and yeah, he just left the game. It's just too much. Do this video, or should you play Neverwinter in 2021?
And then deciding if it's worth your time. Before we begin, please remember to drop a like on the video and consider subscribing to the channel and ringing the little bell icon for more MMORPG stuff. And a huge thank you to all my supporters on Patreon and Twitch who make all my content possible. Right, let's do this. Neverwinter is an action-adventure MMORPG available on the PlayStation 4, Xbox One and Windows PC. The PC version of the game is the most recent and gets updates before the console versions, meaning the PC...
That's one thing annoying about Neverwinter, when I think it doesn't matter which you play or PC, I mean which platform, PC or consoles, all platforms supposed to get update on the same day. And that's problem because probably Cryptic is just not enough of a big company to make all changes at same day to all platforms. That's one thing which one kinda sucks. If you play on consoles, you need to wait like a month for next mode.
players are often one module ahead of console players. All versions exist independently, and sadly there's no cross-play, so you'll need to be playing on the same version as your mates if you all want to adventure together. Neverwinter is completely free to download and play right now on all versions, and unlike some MMOs, you're actually able to play through and experience absolutely everything without paying anything. There are no premium modules or areas or dungeons. The entire game is open to you, and even the ultra-high level equipment can be bought with currencies earned entirely within the game. But that doesn't mean you can't pay your way through certain bits. Developing company Cryptic Studios also makes Star Trek Online, and both games share the premium currency of Zen. You can buy Zen, then convert it.
I think Zen is one of the things which one is just destroying Neverwinter. This Zen market is opening way for black market. That's easy. And one of the thing with what Cryptic he said without paying anything. I mean, actually, yes. You can get almost everything without paying. But he was not mention how much time you need to invest that. And looking forever. It's just 2 years. I mean, come on, it's just 2 years. It's kind of nothing, you know.
To the Neverwinter specific currency of Astral Diamonds. Then use Astral Diamonds to buy everything in-game, from faster mounts to better weapon enchantments or cosmetic overrides. Many people say Neverwinter is pay to win, and this is somewhat wrong. You can earn Astral Diamonds in-game, although the process is slow, and you can gather all the required items to become ultra powerful without ever buying Zen, but Zen speeds up the process substantially. Then there's VIP status. If you buy 1000 Zen,
you see, now he was explaining. You can just chill and get nothing. How to say not nothing, but go slow. Or just open your wallet and get everything fast.
Then a month, that's about $10 worth, you'll become a VIP and gain special abilities which increase every month you remain a VIP. From reduced in-game injuries to the ability to summon a bank anywhere to free daily keys to open the premium loot boxes dropped in the game. If you consider the $10 VIP status a sort of pseudo-subscription fee, it's actually quite reasonable for the advantages that you do get. Neverwinter is set within the city of Neverwinter, which itself is based in the Forgotten Realms setting of the role-playing game Dungeons & Dragons. Being an official Dungeons & Dragons game, you'll find all the established tropes here: humans, kobolds, orcs and elves, mighty warriors and mysterious mages. You'll be able to visit the iconic locations made famous by the game, from Gauntlgrim to the Well of Dragons or even Icewind Dale itself. You can also meet and interact with series staple characters including Elminster, the Mage, Lord Neverember, and even Chat.
Because he was playing Neverwinter on very crappy PC. And he just changed PC not for a while, you know.
To the world's greatest ranger and his miniature giant space hamster, Minsk and Boo from the Baldur's Gate franchise. Then go adventuring with the one and only Dritsto Erden, or even take down Tiamat herself. If you are a Dungeons & Dragons fan, there's a lot here to love, and the attention to detail the development team have put in is clearly shown. There are 12 playable races, and each one comes with a small racial bonus. The character creation process is very Dungeons & Dragons, allowing you to set your 6 main stats: strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, wisdom and charisma, and then depending on your race, you'll boost 1 or 2 of those stats very slightly. If you're a hardcore min-max stat junkie, then you'll be calculating and choosing super carefully to make sure you're doing 0.01% more damage, but if you're playing casually, you can play as any class with any race, so this is mostly a cosmetic choice. There are certain races, including the Moon Elf or Dragonborn, that are premium unlocks and must be bought with Zen or come included in a larger, more expensive item pack, but these are really for the more long-term player, not the casual beginner. Once you've got a race, you can pick one of the game's 8 classes, all based off Dungeons & Dragons classics: the up-close and personal melee monster, the Barbarian, a distance-based healer or support DPS, the Cleric, the Bastion of Defense and Shield of the Team, the Fighter, the combo healer, tank and all-around good guy, the Paladin, range DPS with close-range shenanigans and clearly the best class, the Ranger, the super sneaky invisible nuke DPS, the Rogue, a creepy healer DPS combo who helps themselves by harming others, the Warlock, and finally the classic freeze enemies and slow time down magicians, the Wizard. All classes are viable for both solo and group play, and all classes play remarkably different from one another, and all classes are needed in almost all dungeons. While the flavour of the month may change, you'll very rarely rarely be completely useless, and you'll definitely find a class that suits the way you want to kill things. And that is why you play Neverwinter, the combat. The story, I can take it or leave it, the graphics are acceptable, the music is decent but nothing game-changing, but the combat, this is what sets Neverwinter apart.
I think if Neverwinter will don't have its combat, if combat will be like much more shit, it's just nobody not play Neverwinter. Because combat is actually insane, and that's one of the things why people keep playing. Just fucking nice game with perfect combat. Okay, not perfect, not bad combat actually. It's nice.
Neverwinter's main draw is its combat. It's an action aiming system with incredibly fast and responsive controls and constantly changing battlefields. Each class plays so differently to each other that you need to relearn and remaster each one anytime you switch. And each fight is totally possible to win if you know how to play your class. It's one of the few MMOs where knowledge and a high skill level can sometimes make up for the lack of endgame items. Now in Neverwinter you don't have access to hundreds of abilities at any one time. You have to choose which ones you're going to use. For PC, your two main attacks are mapped to the left and right click. Then you've got 3 abilities mapped to Q, E, and R, and some daily abilities mapped to 1 and 2. If you're playing on console, you simply use all the buttons and it's remarkably intuitive. Then each class has a special function activated by pressing Tab. The Ranger will switch from their bow to their close combat blades and all their attacks change. The Rogue goes invisible and now all your attacks are in stealth mode. The Fighter holds up their shield and protects the teammates around them. The ability to customize and move around which attacks are mapped to which buttons and to do different things with your class's ability means any combat encounter plays out differently depending on the class you are approaching it with. And in a team, all combat styles work super well together. While Neverwinter may not have the map size of Terra or the epic scale of Warcraft, as a fan of action combat, I have to admit it is probably the single most fun combat experience I've ever had in an MMO. You will start the game alone and level through most of the low-level areas alone, most likely then starting the campaigns alone, but that's not to say you have to play alone. You can team up with anyone and form a party. Level scaling will lower higher-level players down to you. Then whenever you go anywhere, such as into a story instance or a dungeon, your party gets prompted to come with you. They even use the classic "you must gather your party before venturing forth" line. That said, it's totally possible to play as a solo adventure and wait until the latest expansion before you actually have to team up, as that is when it will get too difficult for you, whatever that expansion may be at the time.
I like spend more time on this dragons, but yeah, now it's just
chasing the thieves group the Nashers as they steal the crown of Neverwinter. It quickly spirals into a battle with the Lich Valindra, then helping the Icewind Dale 10 towns, then stopping Tiamat, then killing dinosaurs, then vampires. Honestly, Dungeons & Dragons should never be considered a linear story. It's more a setting for stories to happen within, and Neverwinter is very much that. Ask an experienced Neverwinter player to explain the plot, and very few would be able to, as they've just spent all their time killing the new stuff and enjoying the combat system. If you're after a deep and involved story, although Neverwinter does have that if you look for it, it's not its main concern. It was never meant to be a plot-heavy, deep, lore-driven game. It is an action combat MMO first and foremost. MMO population ranks Neverwinter as the 22nd most active game with 2.3 million total players and an average daily user base of 135,000 players. While that may not sound like a lot compared to RuneScape's million players a day, the maps in Neverwinter are much smaller. And the dungeons are accessed by a queuing menu, meaning it actually feels rather populated. You'll likely be around other players most of the time until you adventure out into the further wilds of the latest expansions. There are always guilds and clans recruiting and looking for new members across all game versions, and the YouTube scene has some knowledgeable and dedicated creators, including Nova, Northside, and Galactic Underwear. The best builds and money-making methods often change in Neverwinter, so it's useful to keep up with their updated guides if you're looking to play seriously. The subreddit is surviving. It's not the most populated, but you can find answers to most questions. Just don't say anything bad about the game. As for the latest Xbox
if you write something,
launch,
you
it's
just
not been officially announced yet,
your message will get deleted on
coming to them.
Reddit.
Neverwinter is an amazing early game experience. You'll gain levels quickly, you're introduced to the intricacies of combat, the voice acting is good, the pacing is great, the adventure is fun, and as you move quickly through the mid-game, you'll be equipping new items and armor at an acceptable pace. Then in the end to mid-game, you'll be showing true mastery of your class as you fight your way through much more dangerous places and visit iconic locations and generally enjoy the combat. But end game is where Neverwinter falls down. The end
Yes.
game grind to get the best weapons, armor, or items of any given module is extremely grindy. You'll be running dungeons again and again and again and again and again.
Welcome
and
to
again,
Hardcore
and you
Wars.
get the picture.
So
The drop rate of anything fantastic, either from lockboxes or dungeon chest or the actual boss itself, is insultingly low, and once you join the ranks of upper echelons of players, I hope you're ready to spend
you
weeks
just
of your
get one
time
shot
and
there.
millions upon millions of astral diamonds upgrading your gear for tiny increases in power. Then, and this is also the reason I personally quit, when the new module is released, be prepared for the basic items the new module gives you to be more powerful than your maxed out gear from the previous. You see, Neverwinter loves attracting new players, and it does this by essentially leveling.
Exactly. That's exactly what now Cryptic is doing, just with all this leveling, scaling down. They just want to attract new players. They don't give a fuck. Cryptic don't give a fuck about endgamers or endgame content. All what we're doing now is just trying to attract much more new players. Yes, makes sense.
The playing field every time a major release happens. If you start playing now and grind for a few months at the newest content while using your VIP lockbox keys, you'll quickly become almost as powerful as someone who's been playing for years, because the amazingly epic legendary stuff they got a year ago is now absolutely trash compared to the uncommon stuff you are getting for free. It's great for new players and keeps new blood coming into the game, but it's extremely demotivating for old players, and once you've been playing for a few years, you'll begin to regret the fact you are just as powerful as a fresh-faced new player. As for content, Neverwinter is divided down into the start of the game, which is your quick flight up to almost max level, and then the campaigns, which are structured adventures with daily and weekly caps on how much progress you can make on each. There are so many campaigns that unless you make playing Neverwinter your full-time job, which I had to a year ago, you won't be completing them all anytime soon, which is a shame because completing the campaigns unlocks permanent boosts in power, so you're going to have to do it at some point. There's almost an overwhelming amount of stuff that opens up at the end game, but hey, at least you won't be bored. So, should you play it in 2021? Honestly, yes, but mostly for the early and mid-game experience. It's super fun to level a fresh character, and if you can find a dedicated group of friends to enjoy the experience with, it's got one of the best action combat systems ever made. It's Dungeons and Dragons, and when you're adventuring as a mid-level group, it feels like a Dungeons and Dragons adventure. But just like how Dungeons and Dragons is always more fun when you're a slightly lower level and loses its fun if you have to grind the same campaign again and again and again, the end game really does turn this into a monotonous grind fest. And even the amazing combat system is stretched to its enjoyable limit when you're forced to kill the same enemies and fight the same boss in the same way through the same dungeon for a 0.01% chance of a drop that's very slightly better than what you're using, that will instantly be outclassed the moment a new module happens. It's a fun experience, but when you look into the long-term sustainability of this, you will get burned out very quickly. So enjoy the early and mid-game, enjoy learning the characters and classes, but don't spend hundreds of hours of your time trying to get a single item, because that's when the game becomes.
Oh my god, one shot.
Cheers for watching. Let me know in the comments below if you decide to play Neverwinter, and drop a like on the video.
I need to do
Sub to the channel and ring the bell for more MMO content. And once again, another thank you to all my supporters on Patreon and Twitch who make this content possible. If you've enjoyed the video, you can support the Patreon from only £1 a month, or
like I say, he was content creator, like huge one back in days. But when he's really realized what Cryptic is doing with the game, how they flipping stuff, that was just fucked for him. And he just left Neverwinter because he just no. And where is another video about Neverwinter? I am on caps lock. Why Neverwinter is dying? I see this video like 20 fucking times.
I'd gone from is an academic and analytical look at exactly what mistakes the action MMORPG Neverwinter has made that, in my opinion, have ruined the game in 2019. I feel I'm finally able to explain the insidious gameplay pattern that I've been seeing for the past 5 years in a simple way. Because of the essay nature of this video, the footage in the background is simply gameplay. You don't need to be able to see the screen to understand or follow this video. 2 major things concerning Neverwinter happened today. The first is, I finally managed to understand why Neverwinter Live, currently on mod 16, is so absolutely awful. And 2, I've discovered there's a Neverwinter.
Mod 16 was something terrible, actually. And I think a lot of people, even end gamers or mid gamers, was leaving Neverwinter on mod 16 after this combat changes. It's way too much painful from mod 15, mod 16.
Winter private server running a Module 2 Shadowmantle version of the game. The footage in the background is the Module 2 gameplay. I'll make a video explaining how to access this at some point. For now, let's talk about Live and why Neverwinter is dying. Neverwinter is a game near and dear to my heart. I'm a huge Dungeons & Dragons fan. I played back on the Arc launcher. Then, when it came to Steam, I racked up over 2,500 hours playing on my Hunter Ranger. I was a proud member of the legit Channel Alpha Guild. I got my Twitch and YouTube start playing Neverwinter. I even have a large cardboard display stand of Valindra stealing the crown of Neverwinter in my room. So when I tell you I am a fan of this game, I want you to understand I really am a fan. And I was critiquing the game out of love. Unfortunately, the reality I discovered has caused me to lose a great deal of that love. Neverwinter has been going downhill for some time. The player base is dropping, the content creators that once pulled in tens of thousands of YouTube views and hundreds of Twitch watchers are feeling burnt out and neglected. And after all these years of asking why, I think I've found the answer. Now, if you're a fan of Neverwinter, feel free to correct any mistakes you think I make in this video, but for non-fans, allow me to quickly explain how the game works. You, as a player, start at level 1, and the process of playing through and leveling up is actually amazingly good fun. Neverwinter has one of the best leveling sections of any game. It's balanced and fun and just plain enjoyable. The journey from level 1 to max level is fantastic. Once at max level, you begin the grind toward endgame. You may be maximum level, but you're nowhere near maximum power yet. You have campaigns to complete, dungeons to clear, monsters to hunt. This is your grind period. Lots and lots of grinding. It's not a terrible part of the game, but it is tedious. Then, once you've spent years grinding, and I do mean years, you'll reach endgame, the highest and hardest dungeons, the toughest.
Or you can just open your wallet, spend like 800 £800 or $800, and you almost end gamer. Congratulations. Because at this moment, what we have in game, you just can buy everything what you need for end game. Where is the problem?
Content. However, this is both pointless, as there's very few rewards worth aiming for, and hard to find a group for, as the pool of players able to actually complete this content is very, very shallow. Now, many people, when they talk about Neverwinter's decline, like to point out the following issues. The slow power creep, making you chase rarer and rarer items with ridiculously low RNG drop rates. Devaluing older weapons and armor sets with the release of everything new. Removing ways to make any amount of Astral Diamonds, the VIP in-game currency. Time gating the campaigns, making enchantment upgrades have a chance to fail. Making
I think that's one of the worst thing, enchant upgrade chance 1%. It's just fucked. If you buy materials, you're supposed to upgrade your enchantment in one time. Nope. Cryptic just give you this shitty 1% chance for you to spend more your astral diamond to buy more stuff, to upgrade your fucking enchantment.
Some bosses pure number checks, the pay-to-win aspect and selling of direct increases in power through the Zen market, removing class powers, feats, paragon paths and entire playstyles. And while all these are legitimate concerns and absolutely do ruin the game, they're just symptoms of the problem, not the main problem itself. The problem with Neverwinter is much, much broader, and it's taken me several years to see the overarching pattern of behaviour and work it out. Here, presented simply for you, is the problem with Neverwinter and the reason the game is dying. Neverwinter Online has 3 main groups of players. No matter how hardcore you play, what class you play, or how much you love or hate the game, you'll fall into one of these 3 groups. We'll represent the groups with a scale on the screen. They range from one extreme to the other. These groups are essential to understanding why Neverwinter is so greedy, so I'll explain in detail how they work and then...
Neverwinter is not greedy. Cryptic is greedy. Neverwinter is just a game.
Why? The first, Group 1. New players still levelling from 1 to maximum level, be that 60, 70, 80, or whatever it may be in the future. These players haven't hit the majority of the game yet. They're still learning their class, and they don't need to worry too much about difficulty. The game is well paced for them. This is the most enjoyable part of the game in my opinion, and every encounter is balanced and possible. Group 1. New players still levelling. The second, Group 2, are players who have reached maximum level but are still gearing up for maximum endgame content. They may have much better equipment than the average player, but they're not world class yet. They'll have a few enchantments not quite maxed out. They'll have some items that aren't the best in slot for their class. They have room for improvement. 95% of the game's content may be available to them at this point, but it's that magical 5% they aren't quite good enough for yet that keeps them grinding. That is their goal. A totally acceptable player, but with a place to go to still. And the third group, Group 3, players who are maximum level and do have the best in slot. They have all the items they need, all the enchantments maxed, all the skills to finish all the dungeons. This group, Group 3, is capable of finishing all content and clearing all dungeons with relative ease because they've earned the right through years of hard work, learning their class.
And I like how he writes max power, all content, no goal. And it's exactly what's happening now with endgamers. If you have already was ring or was hardcore ring, it's just no more fun to play because no goal. You have nothing else to achieve if you already finish hardcore boss and have your ring. Just
skill and grinding for the equipment. As a player, you progress on this line from left to right, from Group 1 new player to Group 2 established player to Group 3 powerful veteran. Here, however, is where our main problem lies. The mechanic I'm about to explain covers every single update, every mod, every change this game has ever made. It's the core overriding reason behind everything Cryptic do. Cryptic is a business. They need to make money. And you do not make much money from Group 1 or Group 3 players. Group 1 are still leveling and enjoying the game. They do not need to buy Zen, the premium currency. They do not need to upgrade their enchantments or equipment, as the game will drop new stuff in a reasonable time. They do not need VIP status yet. The game is not difficult enough to require it. On the opposite end of the scale, You also do not make much money from the ultra endgame veterans because they have either already spent it and have a surplus of in-game currency, or have...
Or you will not make money because all group 3 is just buying stuff from black market, which one is make more sense to buy because it's much more cheaper, so why not?
No need to buy anything new. They already have maximum enchantments. They already have max gear. These players do not have anything left to refine or chase or covet. They are complete. The middle group, however, the players with above average equipment but not quite overpowered, group 2, these players spend money because they need to. You can indeed play Neverwinter without spending a penny, but this section of your gameplay life, Group 2, this is where you're heavily encouraged to pay. Pay to upgrade your enchantment and go and join the Group 3 players. Pay for a better mount. Pay for a campaign completion token. Pay for a better companion. Pay to get out.
Pay to get a tuna.
Of this Group 2 rabble and into the elite echelons of the Group 3 players. This middle group of players are your money makers. These players have invested enough time into the game to want to be the best, and now you're selling them the ability to join the best. So as a company, it would make financial sense to keep as many players as possible in Group 2. Good enough to feel powerful, but not quite good enough to actually finish your game without paying a little bit of money. Every single update Neverwinter releases is designed to do one of two things. Push the players in Group 1 into Group 2, or pull the players from Group 3 back into Group 2.
And that's perfect example in mode 20. No, not in mode 20. In last combat changes. That's perfect example how Cryptic was pushing all Group 3 players to Group 2. Because if you want to go back to Endgamer, if you want to be strong, like be one of the best, do some nice numbers, you need to pay. You need different companions and different mount in last combat changes. What is fucking sucks.
When a new module is released, the new armor will be easily and instantly available, and that armor will be equal to, or in some cases more powerful than, the previous best in the game. Why is this done? It's so all those players in Group 1 are instantly pushed.
But not need to pay, just play 24/7. You know, it's just better, I think, found another game. Oh, hello, Dan Paul. You just fucked. I mean, of course you don't need to pay, but if you really will not pay, let's say if you pay only for VIP, it's like $10 a month. You still can't reach endgame in 1 year. Maybe if you will play like 24/7, so yeah, maybe you will reach endgame pretty much fast. But if you pay only for VIP, no chance. I pay only VIP. That makes sense. It is just still annoying. And I need to do 2 push-ups.
Pushed into Group 2.
Push-ups
Everyone is given
time!
an equal chance. This is great for new players. An instant fast track into Group 2. Good stuff for them. However, the previous Group 3 players who spent months grinding for the best armor, everything they had is now devalued. It's no better than the easily accessible new stuff. What is the point of grinding for months if you're just going to be given brand new, better armor every update? Well, it's simply designed to pull you back from endgame powerful into the rest of the Group 2 players.
Because when you start paying for a game, the game is so long, who not pay for the game a lot of euros. I mean, yeah, I'm tired. But keep in mind, when you already in group 3, and let's say you are DPS and you starting doing damage, you see your numbers is high. And when you have combat changes and you need different shit and you realize, fuck, my damage now sucks. I can't do damage. I can't do this numbers anymore. And you start spend money. Because you wanna go back to this group 3 where it's like maximum NCL, you know. Because you miss these numbers. And what need pay if you have VIP, just play for your fun. Yeah, that's true, that's true. I agree with that.
You're good, but you're not good enough. I ground Tiamat and Demogorgon for months to get the best weapons and jewelry, and as soon as the next update came out, everything I had was pointless.
Trash.
I'd gone from Group 3 back squarely into Group 2. Why do they do this? Well, we've established...
Oh, but now one question, Paul. Or at this moment, Neverwinter is fun for you? That's the point. As a game. If you not look at pay to win or it's not pay to win, or it's fun to play.
That. Because this is where your money is. These players, what we're referring to as Group 2, spend the money. A new module releases, and Group 1 are pushed forward and Group 3 are pulled back. This is great for those in Group 1 and sucks for those in Group 3, but now we are all in 2. It's now an arms race to be the best. Those who were the best want to regain their lead. Those who have never been the best want to seize this opportunity to pull ahead. So everyone spends money.
I say pay a little bit amount for VIP and go to your business. Yeah, that makes sense.
To get the new best things. Upgrading equipment, buying companions. Money is thrown at the game because every time an update happens, a new Group 3 must be formed. But items, weapons and armor aren't the only thing that are changed. Skills, character playstyles, power points, feats, everything is changed in the name of pulling everyone into Group 2. In the most recent mod, power points were removed and feats were changed. Character progression now
mod
works
16.
in a different way. It's claims to be in the name of balancing, and while I can believe balance does have something to do with this, I'm more focused on its actual goal, making it easier for rank 1 players to move into rank 2. The latest mod also added scaling, which effectively makes every enemy much harder for maximum players, which pulls all the rank 3 players back into rank 2. While in the situation of rank 2, there's plenty of problems the game creates, and they can all be solved by money. If there are too many campaigns to complete, you can pay real money to buy a campaign completion token. If there are too many mounts giving powerful bonuses, just buy them with Zen. If you need a better companion, then pay for them. If the latest update has increased the enchantment level, and what was previously the best is now simply average, you can pay to upgrade them. This system is brilliant for new players, but absolutely appalling for older players, because after years and years, we are starting to notice it. Progression is pointless, because it will be reset next module in the name of profit. Grinding for the best item is meaningless, when the best items never have a long enough shelf life to justify the time invested to get them. Neverwinter has the best combat system I've ever experienced in an online game. It has the history and lore of Dungeons and Dragons, and the world itself is just beautiful. However, every update, every armor, weapon or artifact change, every class power change, every addition, every removal, every slight change is designed to move all players into this Group 2 section. And then, once they are all there, sell them the ability to advance to Group 3. Then, in a few months,
yeah, that's the problem. That's the one, I think, one of the biggest problem. Every mod is just too much changes. Like, yeah, like mod, I not remember, like last combat changes. Oh, we need this for balance. Seriously? For balance? All best in slot is trash, and all what was not best in slot in before combat changes now is good after combat changes. So, fuck Cryptic.
Release everyone for as much money as you can, reset it, and do it all over again. It's like saving a drowning man from the sea, only to throw him back in a few moments later, then saving him again, then throwing him back again, charging him money every time he's saved. If Neverwinter stopped doing
that's the problem. They will never listen to people. Cryptic don't give a fuck about people. That's what I can say. Seriously, we don't care. Yes, we have forums. We don't give a fuck. In all my playtime, which one I was playing from 2018, I never see any communication from Cryptic to players base. Yes, we have some streams on Twitch about events, about, I don't know, all the shit. But do we have any single stream from Cryptic where Cryptic was speaking, was, let's say, how to say, let's make stream what people want. How to help Neverwinter to grow up. Or where is the problem with Neverwinter? They never do this. Because we don't give a fuck. Cryptic will do what we wanna do. Yes, we can complain in forums, but it will not change nothing.
This. If they allowed Group 1, 2 and 3 players to consistently exist from update to update, they'd have a brilliant game. However, they're focused on monetizing it, fleecing every penny they can get by guaranteeing that players are always in the perfect place where they want to pay to progress.
So I'm from 2017 and nothing. Yeah, exactly.
I loved Neverwinter. I do not love this. And until you can provide a game that's more focused on long-term gameplay than short-term profit per module, I can't, in all good faith, recommend it as a good game anymore. And do you want to know, honestly, how much that hurts for me to say, Cryptic? I was one of your greatest advocates. I loved Neverwinter. I did multiple 24-hour Neverwinter streams on Twitch. I had a chat with Stromslinger, the community manager, on Twitch. I made guide videos that have been seen by hundreds of thousands of players to your hardest dungeons. You had an army of content creators.
Exactly.
Including myself, Garlan, Nova, Silvery, Galactic Underwear, Lord Willow, Northside, Cali Gold, The Assist Man, and more.
I mean, it's almost like fucking 75% old content creators just gone. Why? Because of Cryptic. Biggest Neverwinter enemy is Cryptic. And maybe after Cryptic is Black Market. But Black Market is... If you want stuff, just buy from Black Market. It's just much more worth it.
Have an absolute army of devoted, loyal fans, and you push them back time and time again to make more money. If you're a new player, I hope this cycle won't happen to you. But it will. You'll grind, you'll spend months working, you'll get the best, then an update will remove it and you'll be back with everyone else. And someone else will grind and get the best. And eventually, you just won't have the energy, the strength, or the money to keep up with this treadmill that they force you to be on. Thank you very much for your time, and thank you for watching. If you have any feedback...
I know like more people away are more than biggest army like Ranger, Rick, and Lord Willow. Yeah, exactly. I mean, and it sounds kinda stupid that that's true. If Cryptic was not fucked up back in days, because all content creators is important for MMOs or for other games, and we are disappointed. Because point is, soon we have New World, and Amazon. If I'm not sure, but I think I hear somewhere Amazon own Twitch, what is mean a lot. A lot of people will know about New World, and New World will be something way too much different than others MMORPGs. So yeah, like I say, don't understand the opposite. I love Neverwinter. What do you mean? I will never leave a game. I mean, how to say? Even if you love Neverwinter, if you love playing Neverwinter, you will reach a point where it's just too much. Yes, you can spend money or you cannot spend money. If you're spending money, I mean, it's okay. But if you're not spending money, you will reach this point where it's just, it'll be like too much. I don't know how to explain. My English is kind of limited. And still, like I say, let's go to Twitch. Click.
182, it's in the news everywhere at the moment, so it's gone a bit crazy on it. Bet the judge would throw it out.
Cryptic Studios. So yeah, they have Twitch channel, and I fucking never see any nice stream from Twitch about game. But it's sad story, yep. Like Cinderella with no happy end. Oh shit. I mean, that's... oh, actually, I need to find one more video from Josh. Give me a second. I think I'm supposed to... Let's copy this one, because I'm using his content and I need to put his link. Maybe here. Where he was doing about this one, Final Fantasy 14. And then Final Fantasy 14 was having problem with login because of Asmongold. And I just need actually sold out. Give me a second. Oh, yeah, this one.
Final Fantasy XIV producer and director Naoki Yoshida has issued a personal apology for the recent login issues faced by players across the world.
I mean, imagine. Players was having problem to log into Final Fantasy, and biggest head of company was writing apologize letter. Imagine this one. I think to return to play, yeah, or just wait for New World.
This blog post shows him taking personal responsibility for the team's failings, explains the issues faced, and explains the solutions they're going to implement. But is this a genuine, heartfelt apology, or just some corporate niceties? Well, it's time to get analytical, so let's find out. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome.
Because at least for me, it's kind of important to understand how to say what is communication between game community and game developers. Because if game developers don't give a fuck about community, like Cryptic, it just will be something bad.
Welcome, I'm Josh Drive-Hayes. Over the last couple of weeks, Final Fantasy XIV has seen an absolutely unprecedented surge in players, thanks to several factors outside of their control all happening at the same time. Popular streamers all started playing the game, the hype for Endwalker is starting to build up, and now the meme-worthy, critically acclaimed Final Fantasy XIV has a free trial consisting of the entire base game and Heavensward expansion up to level 60. Because of this, the servers have been stretched a bit thin, and the play experience for the last couple of days hasn't exactly been stellar. The company have released an apology, but is it genuine? Before we begin, consider dropping a like on the video or subscribing to the channel for more MMO stuff. Ring the bell for all the future videos. As usual, a big thank you to all the supporters on Patreon and Twitch. More on this at the end. For now, let's begin. I've already made a video examining the incredible moment the game actually sold out of digital codes, and examining the game's rocky and turbulent history, how they destroyed version 1 and rebranded as A Realm Reborn. That was probably the moment Square Enix established himself within the MMORPG landscape as a studio dedicated to making a quality experience, not simply an acceptable one. And communication from Square Enix to the player base has already been highly praised, thanks in no small part to this man. Naoki Yoshida, lovingly known as Yoshi P within the Final Fantasy.
This one is kinda one of the biggest head of all Final Fantasy. So, big boy in Final Fantasy
XIV community has worked for Square Enix since 1993. He started working on the Bomberman and Dragon Quest franchise before being moved to Final Fantasy XIV. He's a self-declared fan of EverQuest, Dark Age of Camelot, Ultima Online, World of Warcraft, Rift and Star Wars The Old Republic, so it's pretty clear he's passionate about the MMORPG genre. Now, being passionate about your job is great, but when you're in a leadership position, you need more than just passion. You need the skills to lead people, to get the best out of your team. And while researching Yoshi P, this line specifically stood out to me. He gave his team precise goals to achieve, and that is an essential leadership skill. To be able to delegate and then give actual, set, specific, realistic, achievable goals is such a rare thing to find in management. I've been in charge of teams of people of varying sizes, and giving people direct, specific goals is one of the best ways to push a project forward. Knowing what kind of person Yoshi P is, let's have a look at this apology and see if it's genuine or if it's just corporate double talk. Greetings Final Fantasy XIV players, this is your producer and director Naoki Yoshida. First and foremost, I would like to extend my thanks to all of you for your continued support. Development on our latest expansion pack Endwalker continues as we focus on implementing content and transitioning to the check and polish phase. Expectations for 6.0 are high and have resulted in increased interest in Final Fantasy XIV, especially in North America and Europe, where we are currently experiencing an extreme influx of new players. Today I would like to go into detail about the server congestion resulting from this influx and the steps we are taking to address it. This message is a long one, so please bear with me. Now, saying thank you instead of sorry is a classic business tactic, and it's something I would advise all of you to start doing in your everyday life. If a customer has been waiting and you say, sorry for the wait, you're implying they have been wronged and...
But is Final Fantasy XIV is like WoW monthly pay? Yes. Another thing, if you wanna make good game, it's supposed to be monthly pay. Look at back in World of Warcraft, it's monthly pay, but people playing because it's a good game. If you look to RuneScape or old school RuneScape, people still playing and they paying a little bit, but because it's just good. If you, free to play MMOs, RPGs is just trying to find another ways how to make money. That's why kinda is sad.
You are to blame, framing you in a negative light. If you say, thank you for waiting, you're implying the customer has been actively helping in a difficult situation and you recognise that, framing both of you in a positive light. So saying thank you at the start of this is framing the whole thing as a positive. The next paragraph also is a no-frills explanation of the issue, reinforcing the idea the team are aware of the issue and are working on improving it. And that is all most companies would do. That's a corporate apology. We're aware there's a problem,
well, not for Cryptic. If we have some biggest problem with Neverwinter, with game, Cryptic just will write, sorry, we have a problem, we will fix it in next patch, or maybe next year's, because we don't give a fuck.
Working on it, goodbye. Thanks, have patience. That's it. That's all most companies need to do to placate most player bases. Because most player bases don't demand more than that. But Final Fantasy XIV is a little bit different. And it's everything that comes after this introduction that's actually really impressed me. We get given actual tangible information we can actually do something with, and we get shown what the company are doing to alleviate this problem, which is above and beyond what most companies do. The population that can be logged into each world server at one time is capped. However, as some of you have noticed, this cap is not the same for all servers and differs somewhat between data centers. The main reason for this has to do with the data center's matching server. A matching server can only handle so much information, so to ensure that it functions properly, a capacity limit must be set. This limit determines the overall maximum population of a data center, which is then divided by the number of worlds in the data center to calculate how many players can be logged into each world. If a matching server were to overload, it will result in the duty finder ceasing to function properly and instability when entering instanced content, hence the importance of logging caps. This paragraph is great. It gives us foundation level knowledge for why the issue happened and why a digital store can sell out of digital copies.
You will never get this from Neverwinter. From Cryptic, I mean. We have problem, Cryptic will tweet. We have problem, we will solve problem, but we don't know when. That's it. And
they have capped sales to guarantee a quality experience for all those.
And that's one of the things what I was saying when I wanna feel more communication between devs and community.
Currently playing. They would rather keep their standards high than ruin it for everyone. They've also given in-game examples that people can relate to and understand. If too many people played at once, the duty finder would stop.
And if I'm right, at the moment, at some servers can be maximum at 18,000 players in one server. Of course, problem with Cryptic servers, they not have servers. They renting servers, whereas what kinda bad for a good MMORPG. If you go to Valenhas now, especially before Bell, you can find a lot of people and it's fucking nice. It's fucking nice when you go to Valenhas and you see like fucking 20 people in one place. But if you go into insurgencies, it will be fucked. If you're doing insurgencies, or I just don't know how to pronounce, then another 25 people is killing mobs, you just lagging like fucking crazy. And have always Elder Scrolls. Oh, I never try actually Elder Scrolls, but I'm kinda saving myself for a new world. So that's where the problem, because when you go, it looks like, let's say, how to say, when you just go to Valenhas and you will see like 20 people or more in one place, it's insane. But when always 20 people start doing something like fucking killing insurgencies mobs, everything is just freezing. It was bad. And that's the reason why it's bad don't have servers as game. Why renting servers is just bad, or Eve or Albion. Yeah, that makes sense.
Working as intended. He then continues. As it happens, the matching servers used in the North American data center were recently upgraded to higher performance models. Continued optimization of this new equipment has allowed us, as of July 16th, to increase the maximum number of simultaneous logins across the North American data centers by 18,000, or approximately 750 per world server. A matching server upgrade for the EU data centers, while currently planned for the immediate future, however, is still pending. As such, until the upgrade is implemented, it would be difficult for us to raise world logging caps to the same degree as those of North American worlds. That said, the team is currently working hard to optimize existing servers in an attempt to increase the caps, if by a smaller amount, and will endeavor to make continued adjustments and improvements while maintaining game stability. This section does two fantastic things. First of all, it provides actual raw data, giving a specific number of logins each data center can handle and how many players a world is capped at. We can now crunch the numbers and better understand the issues they are facing. Most MMO games actively try to hide numbers and figures like this because it can cause the community to compare and contrast them with other games, and being transparent about them is a brave move. But my favorite part is this. It's when he says the team is continuing to attempt to improve, if by a smaller amount. That is setting a realistic expectation. He's not promising massive overnight changes or immediate fixes. He's keeping expectations low. directly by saying it's a small improvement. This, in the business world, is often known as under-promise, over-deliver. He then continues. When a world server reaches its maximum capacity, any additional players attempting to log in will be placed in a queue and must wait until a player already on the server logs out before being admitted. As character creation requires a player to be logged in order to write the newly created data to the database, new characters cannot be created while the server is full. While we regret having to do so, we would humbly ask two things of our player base to ensure that new players have the opportunity to create characters. First, we ask those not actively engaged in the game to log out of their characters rather than remaining logged in while idle. Second, we request that you avoid creating new characters during peak congestion times. This is another great bit, because it's not putting any blame or responsibility for the situation onto the player base. It's not saying you caused this, but it is providing direct, actionable advice that the players can follow to help the team out. It's giving advice without assigning responsibility. What I really like about this apology so far is it's not just, we're aware there's a problem, we're fixing it. It's so much more.
It's like Cryptic, you know. We have problem, we will fix it. When? We have no idea.
It's, we are aware there's a problem. Here's what the problem is. Here's the factors that caused it. Here's what we were doing to preemptively solve these factors before they became an issue, and now the timescale has been moved forward. Here's what we're doing to catch up with the timescale that has moved. Here is why that is facing trouble. Here is what you can do to help us out with this. And here are the reasons why it's not going quite as well and you should temper your expectations. There's a lot of stuff. This is a lot of facts and figures and numbers all helping us understand the situation they're in. Now, a lot of people have just been saying, just buy more servers, just get more servers. You're a big company, just do that. Well, they've addressed that. A fundamental solution to congestion is an increase in world servers, as well as the addition of data centers. As we have already announced, we are currently in the final stages of preparing our Oceania data center. At the same time, we have been moving forward with plans to expand even further, putting wheels into motion in the form of approving budgets, securing funding, and purchasing equipment. We intend to assess our user numbers and planned content after the release of 6.0, and then work to have new servers or data centers prepared for 7. The current situation, however, has compelled us to re-evaluate this timeline and determine if it's possible to speed up the process. There are, however, 2 obstacles that stand in our way. Problem 1. Insufficient servers due to semiconductor shortage. The COVID-19 pandemic has seen an extreme drop in semiconductor production in factories across the globe. This, coupled with an increase in demand for electronics due to more people working at home, has resulted in an international shortage of semiconductors that, in turn, has resulted in a prolonged delay in the delivery of servers we ordered for our data centers. We have even looked into investing more than market value to speed up delivery, but to no avail. We are not giving up, however, and are in continued talks with vendors from around the world to find a timely solution to this problem. We plan for in-person visits.
So, point is, that was something very nice from, how to say, Final Fantasy XIV director, where he apologized for people because people can't log into a game. That's fucking communication with community. The perfect game not out yet. I think we will never have any perfect game, because what does mean perfect game? Let's say you take 100 people, 100 different people from our world, and you give a game. And if 100 people like this game, it will be perfect. But it will never happen when all 100 people will love the game. Someone will say, nope, it's just not for me. I like MMORPG, but it's not for me. You know, all the shit. So, we will never have any perfect game. But funny part, at least what I'm thinking now, people is just tired for same shit. Same free class, tank, DPS, heal, same content, you know, leveling, And New World, it will be something huge. New World will be wow. You don't have free classes. You wanna be tank, you equip your fucking tank weapons and tank gear. Voila, you a tank. And it will be insane. That's one of the reasons why New World will attract a lot of people.
Shroud and Binance, and I had a really funny interaction early on where I ended up saving Caliverse from getting steamrolled by an early game mob on the first day of the beta that subsequently developed into us being like newly found e-pals. My point here is the community interaction that came as a result of all of this was ridiculously enjoyable.
One game it was WoW like 10 years before to EverQuest like 20 years before. I mean, funny part, when World of Warcraft release old schooled, like something like that, old schooled World of Warcraft. I have no idea. I never was fan of World of Warcraft. So WoW revenue was better than of last module, like last expansion, because they fucked up on Shadow. I don't remember full name, Shadowland, I think. They fucked up, like really they fucked up on this expansion, and people just start leaving WoW.
Honestly, my time spent interacting with all of these extremely well-known personalities was nothing short of fantastic. So to all of you that I met and got to have conversations with about New World life.
I mean, another thing about New World is crafting. You just can't compare crafting New World with Neverwinter. You always will have 100% chance to craft what you need to craft. You always will craft your stuff fast, but you will spend some time to get materials. Because I think you can't just buy everything from auction house. Even if you can buy, it will be kind of expensive. And you can go and farm everything what do you need for your materials, what is kind of huge. And how to say, it's like open world PvP, but if you wanna go farm, you can turn off PvP. The New World is just new game with a lot of hype and think it will over fast. Nah, I mean, this will be huge. It's hard to say exactly, but it will attract a lot of people. And like I say, it's like open world PvP, but you just can't turn off PvP. And let's say I wanna go farm some wood, but I just don't wanna some people just come to me and kill me, you know. So I just turn off my PvP and they can attack me. And I can just chill and just farm my shit. Have a lot of good game that people abandon it. Yeah, that's true. That's true. But still, it will be something different. At least for MMORPG genre, it will be much more different.
And just streaming in general, thanks. It was truly a pleasure. New World is an MMO, and as MMOs go, it's followed the standard archetypal build. Get a mission, go to this spot, kill stuff, find stuff, come back, get XP, get a little bit of gold, maybe an item, and then do it all over again. Rinse and repeat. Get to max level, visit a bunch of places, kill crazy dungeon bosses for better and better loot, rinse and repeat. Along the way, you slowly begin to uncover the story of the MMO. Protagonists, the villains, the little squabbles in the area, the memes to be had, and what it is that you're trying to ultimately achieve. New World has all of these things, but to the uninitiated, New World lacks a bit of flow and abundance that you see coming from other MMOs in the genre. Full disclosure, my objective in New World was to pursue leveling as quickly as I could, while still being able to participate in things like crafting, world PvP, and some of the larger scale battles. So I didn't absorb too much of the intricacies of the lore. My basic understanding that I have of the story, and if I get this wrong, I'm quite sorry, is that you're a crew member aboard a ship set to sail for the New World, sometime between 1450 and 1700 AD or so. Along the way, you encounter a storm that shipwrecks you and washes you aboard this uncharted island, Eternum, the Eternal Isle, that is somehow teeming with magic and this substance called Azoth, which appears to grant life eternal, as if
I'm happy I play Neverwinter because I know a lot of respect and serious people like you. Oh, thanks, mate. Thank
the
you,
island
Dampo.
itself were the fountain of youth. You realize that you cannot leave the island and that the island itself is also infected by this powerful evil force known as the corruption, which has infected many of the inhabitants, including the wildlife. So you...
I mean, still one of the problem with New World is just running from one spot to another spot. And it's like, everyone complaining about that. We need fucking Mount New World. Because it's just painful. It's just painful go from one city to another city when you need to just go from city to another city like 5 fucking minutes. It's way too much painful. And map? New World map is huge. Second. New World map. Well, maybe.
What is going on? One of our
Come on, show me map. Show me full map, please. Nope. Nope. You don't want to show full map. Oh my god, it's so hard to find full map. All future New World. Colleagues. No, no. Oh yeah. Found? Yeah, that's perfect map. What is it? I mean, come on. Seriously? I know. Okay, never mind. Maybe he will show like full map.
Now as a settler,
This is
set off to band
huge.
together with your friends, develop a company, or join one, and ultimately take control of territorial areas of Eternum while battling back the corruption plaguing the island all around you. The story's progression is a bit muddled once you get into the actual storyline quests, and those quests themselves are not as involved as one would hope them to be. The basic premise of your journey at the beginning is to become accustomed with the area, and ultimately fight back and defeat your commanding officer, whom you first see at the end of the tutorial section, freshly overtaken by the corruption. Other than that, I can't really tell you. The story itself isn't very engaging in my opinion, but like most lore-based games in this genre, most of the stories are lost on me anyway, as my enjoyment comes in the progression of the game itself and goal setting, as opposed to the lore behind it all. So take this criticism with a grain of salt. Eternum itself, it's pretty damn good looking. You can tell that the artists have had a very clearly defined style that resonates throughout the entire
this
world that they've
graphics
built. The world itself feels tactile,
oh,
but
it's
not
insane.
cartoonish. It's magical and whimsical, but not childlike. It's like going and playing laser tag with your buddies, but the laser tag has a bar in it. It's slanted just enough toward feeling thematically adult. And the aesthetics of some of the interactions and the level designs are great. Now, I will concede that the mob types and model differences are seldom, and in a lot of cases, the world bosses end up just being regular minions that got blown up like a big balloon animal. But as you level up, the features come more in the functionality. Stuff like mini-boss.
And yeah, it's kind of simple. You have 3 encounters with Q, R, F, or whatever. You can change whatever you wanna. You can use 2 weapons at a time. And basically your weapons is your role. And if you take a life, staff of life, if I'm right, you will become a healer. You just level up your staff and you are a healer. That's it. And in PvP, it will be kind of OP, I think. In like open world PvP. And it'll be like a lot of people, so you just can't kill healers. Imagine 10 healers in one spot and all spamming encounters. It's just overhealing. So funny, actually.
Types gaining extra affixes here or an extra moveset there, making them slightly more difficult. In this, I didn't really mind or notice the lack of variety of character models. For me, the positivity in this game comes in the simple things, as long as the sacrifice is worth it. Have a handful of mob factions and a handful of mob types for each faction, but make sure that the combat feels visceral and real enough to where it's challenging. Hit registration is right, attacks are avoidable or blockable if you do them in time, and server
Oh, Lara, I have hired many MMO games and leave them fast. I don't like when New Wave fight or move. I hope New World will have free trial. I mean, yeah, that's I think one of the things what New World supposed to have, like new trial. to, let's say, level, to get your stats to level 10, you know. And after that, you just understand, or you wanna play more New World, or you just don't wanna play. It will be nice if it will have new free trial, because combat is kind of nice, and if you have bow, you need to aim it, not perfectly, but you need to aim it and shoot, and you can miss like a lot of bows, so it will be kind of hard, but always be good.
Performance is on point, and make sure that the controls like dodging, attacking, using abilities, etc. all work well. And for the most part, New World nails all of these things, and they provide all of the visual aspects and interaction complemented by one of the absolute greatest soundscapes and sound localization engines I think I have ever heard in the history of my time playing over 30 different MMOs in the last 20 years. For real, the sound in this game is awesome.
Oh, PvP. That's a PvP, bro.
Too easy, baby.
Oh my god, no auto aim. Nope.
Oh, nice
That's
shot.
I mean actually this all aiming with bow or musket, it's kinda, it will be stressful, it will be painful, but it's something different. Because
New World.
Oh yeah, that's almost more than half of the map.
Lets you control territory.
Yeah, that's the map. And at this moment, if you in this city and you wanna go to this city or near this city because you need materials to upgrade, you need go slowly with your fucking legs to the city. I think you kinda can teleport. I have no idea, and I need to do 2 push-ups.
Territories on the map. Each territory has a main township that is slowly upgraded over time and is owned by the company that either founds it in purchasing it for 100,000 gold at the start of the game, or by the company that declares war on the township and wins. The territories provide several perks in the form of combat buffs, crafting discounts, and fast travel discounts, and they also provide the company that owns the township with taxes and fee revenue from the public auction house and the usage of crafting stations and home ownership. Over time, the townships evolve, slowly developing into larger, more developed towns with larger defense hardpoints. This is done via community projects, selected by the management of the owning company, and is obtained via players doing a wide variety of posted jobs on the job board in order to make the required resources goal within the time allotted. This upgrades certain crafting stations, for instance, which allows you to craft in the next higher tier of items. Now, from a strategic standpoint, this also offers advantages. One town might end up having a tier 5 lumber mill, whereas the next town over could have a tier 5 smelter, and yet a third town could have a tier 5 arcanum. This obviously draws certain people focusing on certain types of crafts to these towns. Now, the game's progression systems are threefold. First, the character has
That's funny part, which one I really like. So that's ability scores. And what is funny, your strength is increasing this weapon's damage. Dexterity increasing spear, musket, I don't remember this name, bow, and this one. That's why I like it. I'm sure they will be mounts like in Terra that I like. Pegasus mount come almost at the end of the storyline. Oh, that's nice. For now, I now have a good reason to play New World. And, I mean, like I say, not everyone will like New World, but a lot of people will like. And intelligent, it will be for life of, how to say, for healings, and, I not remember the name. Staff of Life, Ice Gauntlet, and Musket. Kinda huge. So, I will take, of course, Dexterity, because I wanna take Bow. And I need second one. I'm thinking about Fire Staff, because it's just nice. And Constitution is just increasing your hit points. That's it. That's all what Constitution is doing, just increasing your hit points. So that's good.
levels that it can achieve where you get a certain number of attribute points depending on the level obtained, totaling 190 points at level 60 for those of you wanting to know.
I play a game when
that are
I
then
like
allocated to one of 5
most
attributes:
of people you
strength,
see.
dexterity, intelligence.
Oh wait, I play game when I like not most of people you see. Oh, but I mean, if you not try game, you can't say you don't like it. That's another fact. Maybe we will have to hunt and tame the mount we want. Imagine that. That will be so awesome. If you can just hunt and just petting mount, it will be something nice. Maybe. We will see. Because yeah, we still, it will be new game and they will add a lot of new stuff.
Focus, or constitution. Each of these attributes augments the damage of a certain weapon, depending on which weapons you choose to use, and also has a secondary perk associated with it as you make milestones along the attribute bar, which are obtained every 50 points. Second, the weapons themselves have an XP progression mechanic that level from 1 to 20. Each level obtained gives you 1 point to place into a talent tree that has 2 main paths.
Yeah, that's fire stuff. Like magical, ranger, 2 hands, 1 hands. So of course I will take a hunter. Fuck me, I'm a hunter. I need bow. This will be pain in the ass. And I think I will take fire staff. Or ice gauntlet infused. One of these. It will be like 2 main weapons which one I first level up. And funny part, after you level up this ones, let's say to maximum 20, you just can take another 2 ones. And it will be like new experience because you need level up different weapons again. A huge one!
Which dictate the playstyle that you're trying to go for.
Yeah,
for instance, you could have a musket that's designed around primarily sniping or trapping. Or you can use a 2-handed hammer that's designed to do single target DPS or area of effect crowd control, etc. Defeating enemies while wielding these weapons will allocate experience and levels for that weapon, thus furthering the progression of the associated talent trees. The third progression form is crafting, which can be leveled independent of your character's personal progression,
will be good,
but is much easier to progress as your character is able to get out into more difficult parts of the world. Each crafting type can be leveled via their own independent experience progress systems and range from gathering materials, to mining, to weaving, armor crafting, weaponsmithing, stone cutting, jewel crafting, cooking, and the list goes on. And the crafting system isn't boring. There are purposeful stat augmentations that you can direct your crafted item toward. There is food that will give you better luck finding rare items when mining or logging or just luck in general. And there are reagents that when used will significantly boost your yield when refining rough materials into something more usable, which can mean significant progress and profit at the auction house if you know how to maximize them. Of these 3 progression systems, honestly, the most lackluster was, I found, to be leveling your character. All too often I found myself facing an experience drought, unable to progress via any type of mission or questing mechanic because, quite frankly, I had done them all, and I was resolute to obtaining work orders from the town I was in at the time to gather materials or kill a bunch of boars,
funny part,
find an artifact located somewhere on the map, and return whatever the job board requested for some meager amount of experience and some township faction reputation that awarded me some minor increase in gathering speed or experience gain. Ultimately, once I hit somewhere around level 40, I resolved to primarily grinding elite outdoor areas designed for groups that were like 5 to 9 levels below me, and then just pulling large groups of those and AoEing them down. This reminded me of the original vanilla WoW days or XP grinds in Anarchy Online, and those experiences, while extremely memorable, are not memorable because they are desirable. This is one of only 2 real criticisms I think I have of the game, actually. There needs to be more things to do or larger experience rewards for the things in the game that people are doing so that they don't end up farming level 46 elite camps in order to obtain level 55 because it's faster XP than anything else that exists in the game right now. Overall, the combat in New World feels fluid, reactive, and well-made. I live on the East Coast, and I played on an East Coast server, and timing my dodges, reacting to other boss mechanics felt natural and well-timed the vast majority of the time. The skill choices seem simplistic and few, but offer a lot of nuance that can be built upon with correct gearing and playstyle decisions, which opens up a considerable number of avenues that you can go down when designing your character via things like different affixes that are possible on crafted and looted gear, or via certain specific legendary weapons and armor. This also provides a refreshing change away from the vast majority of the MMO genre-defining click, target, press key, watch fireball, fly toward target, see big numbers, and profit gameplay. This game is closer to Elder Scrolls Online, where ranged gameplay is dependent on skill.
I mean, sometimes this looks like Amazon Gaming Company was analyzing World of Warcraft, RuneScape, and others MMORPGs. And we was thinking, what we can do to take a little bit from every single MMO and put together into one MMORPG. Because it's like RuneScape, you don't have any specific class like healer, tank, you know, always triangle. It's just nice.
Skill shots as opposed to auto target tracking, and there is no target lock-on. Things like going prone in bushes, for example, will hide your nameplate from your enemies so that you can ambush people that aren't paying attention, or hiding in bushes or tall grass, or pressuring your opponent to exhaust their stamina bar by rolling away from you too many times, allowing you to then punish them because they get exhausted. However, the combat is, as anyone would expect, full of several flaws. On multiple occasions, and I mean multiple occasions, there were times when the game was not registering weapons swapping, for example. See, in New World, you have two main weapons. Weapon 1 is by default the number 1 key, and Weapon 2 is number 2. You can switch between these at any point as you're fighting and use the associated skills. That is, if you can switch between them. Several times when switching between or trying to switch between weapons, the game would drop inputs that otherwise should have worked when switching them. It feels as though there are moments when you're being hit or when in the middle of a weapon swing where the game doesn't buffer the weapon swap at all, ultimately dropping the input completely and having you standing there mashing the key for a skill that isn't present on the hotbar. Although sometimes you might even have a visual representation.
And that's funny part about your inventory. Your inventory is your weight. How much, let's say, how much kilos you can hold on yourself in your bags. So like on this one, he can hold 643 kilos, something like that. And you can upgrade your bags to get even more this weight available. So that's kind of funny part. You don't need buying bags to get much more loot in your inventories. And I think it's huge.
That the weapon did swap, but stuff like this happens instead.
It sounds like a Tom Morello guitar solo, is what it sounds like. Come with it now.
There are also weapon-specific problems related to issues with attack range, like on the hatchet, where sometimes you'll just whiff because a character model bending a certain way or standing a certain way isn't close enough to the slash animation on the hatchet to register any damage at all, especially in the PvE game, even though the model's collision detection won't let you physically get any closer to it. And then there are bugs related to certain talents in the talent trees, and some of these are large. For instance, the life staff. Let me preface this by saying that any weapon in the game that provides you with some type of self-buff, meaning that it's a proc on a hit, or a spell that you can cast on yourself to augment your stats. On the hatchet, for instance, if you hit a target 3 times with light attacks, it will buff the 4th one. Those type of buffs will fall off when you switch, unless you have a life staff. The life staff is the only weapon in the game where if you select the ability Orb of Protection, for example, and the first talent in the tree called Protector's Blessing, you can buff yourself, swap away, and the buff will stay. However, if you then select the next augment in the talent tree, which is Shared Protection, and then cast this buff on yourself and swap weapons, the buff falls off. My guess is that the buff is supposed to fall off regardless, but yet we have this bug that disincentivizes.
And yeah, that's funny part. I think that's one of the reasons why people need to wait 1 more month for releasing, because we don't wanna release New World with a lot of bugs and we try fix in next month always bugs which when people just send them, and it's kind of huge, you know. At least someone is fixing bugs, and I need to do 2 more push-ups.
You from progressing down the talent tree. There are also things like the two-handed axe or great axe. where if you have the talent Heavy Pull, which is right at the top of the Mauler tree, this causes the heavy attack swing from the left side to double hit, which it doesn't do if you don't have this little perk selected. This effectively increases the overall DPS of the weapon by some 40% merely for selecting this very first dot at the top of the tree, and according to a few different folks, can occasionally triple hit if you wiggle the camera while you swing. And lastly, there's this bug on the fire staff that intermittently, at random it seems, causes the Incinerate spell, if including this talent Flame Out, to randomly hit someone for 4x damage instead of 2x, nearly killing them instantly. This, combined with healing in PvP being overpoweringly strong, with only one real counter in the Hatchet Throwing Tree that causes a 30% debuff to healing for 6 seconds, which again isn't enough time or enough of a debuff, you start to see a very early but very apparent emerging meta.
Yeah, I think we will a little bit nerf healings, because in PvP it will be pain in the ass if your team have more healers. Let's say 5 healers, and if we will stay together, you can't kill them. You just can't, because we can't out heal incoming damage by crazy amount. I'm not remember when, I just found one video when someone was trying go and kill gate, but near gate was like 5 healers and they just spamming healings and you can't do nothing. That's kind of funny. I hope so.
We'll use a two-handed axe with a crowd controlling hammer as a secondary, stand in the green circles from your healers, and then have a Fire Mage, Poison Ranger, and Disease Axe Thrower AoE the hell out of the Zergs, while two-handed axes double hit cleave the crowds for more damage than they should really be doing. This, I think, is my only other real criticism of the game that really needs adjusting. Healing in the game needs to be strong in order to keep people alive for the duration of certain PvE encounters, of course. But in PvP, which is also completely optional and has to be enabled in town, by the way, the healing that occurs during these encounters by anyone that's leveled up their healing skills or has a decently powered weapon can out-heal just about any and all effective DPS, especially if the healing abilities are stacked up on top of others' healing, as there seems to be no limit to the stacking of green circles on the ground by multiple people,
that's like 5
effectively
healers
negating all damage as long
and
as
we
people
don't give
have
a
a
fuck
life stack
because you can't
secondary.
kill them.
If I had
You
a
just
suggestion
can't.
to make, my suggestion here would be to implement further talents that can negate a certain amount of healing received and or add effects to talent
So many
choices that
people.
reduce healing effectiveness. Also, perhaps limiting the number of simultaneous heal over time effects that someone can receive at any one time, or just having the green circles disappear off the ground or severely reduce their healing effectiveness if someone switches away from the life staff would also be beneficial. 50% less healing
And yeah, we're not fighting here, we're just dancing.
from healing circle if you take the life staff off. Stuff like this is natural for an MMO in its infancy. But when these mechanics are being implemented in a PvP centralized game, they obviously need to be at the forefront of the punch list to provide some much needed balance. In PvE, the flaws, in my opinion, seem to be significantly less. However, there is one thing I believe needs to be addressed in regard to collision of mobs. The melee mobs specifically will try to body up against you, but rather than getting to a minimum distance and then stopping, they'll continue to advance into your character, which continuously ends up pushing you backward. Eventually, this can end up pushing you up into walls, up walls, through small spaces in the geometry, and render you either completely stuck to where the mobs will disengage or reset, or in some cases cause you to awkwardly skip around with some really janky camera collision issues until you ultimately warp somewhere else or die because you've completely lost control of yourself and what you're able to see while you're being beaten on by several enemies at once. In PvE, I think they do a pretty fantastic job with the different types of damage that's available to each mob type, what they're resistant to, and their associated weaknesses. For instance, undead-type mobs are resistant to slash damage, but weak to the old bonkin' hammer, which does what the game calls strike damage. But corrupted mobs are weak to arcane instead, while the dryad-style mobs, which are primarily plant-based, are weak to fire and slash damage, but resistant to strike damage. The idea here ultimately comes down to developing gear sets and damage types that work against the types of enemies you would fight in the endgame by augmenting yourself with armor and weapons that exploit the weaknesses of the enemies you face in PvE. For example, There's this clip that I have from Sequisha that shows him having built himself up for arcane and anti-corrupt mob damage. You can see that the secondary number that comes up, which is the arcane damage itself, is actually double the physical damage that he's doing with his musket. Pretty significant when you build it out. Travel in the game seems kind of slow at first. There aren't any mounts. Not even in the future.
That's a little bit
you have to run on foot everywhere you want to go, and as time goes on, you unlock fast travel points that let you warp from place to place and town to town as long as you have enough Azoth, which, as an aside, from gold is used as currency for things like crafting and weapon mastery respecs, but these can be consumed as cost, primarily end up getting consumed as cost for fast travel. As long as there are missions and things to beat that have Azoth as a reward, the Azoth seems to come in pretty quick. However, fast travel expenses, especially if you're carrying a lot of weight and or don't own a lot of territory, can get to be very, very expensive. The overall pool of Azoth that you're allowed to hold as a max currency threshold is 1,000, but in some cases, one single fast travel can cost 40 to 50% of that and can even go upwards of 70% if you're traveling heavy or far away or both. In my opinion, the Azoth rewards need to be increased along with the maximum threshold allowed to be held to double or even triple the current max that's holdable by any one person. Now, criticisms aside, I found New World to be extremely, extremely captivating. It maintained my attention without making me feel bored, and it made things like gathering and crafting feel necessary, but not in a way that felt distracting from the main point of the game. The best items in the game that you can currently obtain are almost all crafted, especially when it comes to tailoring a character in a specific direction.
I think that's one of the best thing what we will make. If you want a best weapon, you just can craft it. You just spend time on crafting some shit, some selling some shit, and you just can craft your legendary weapons. Of course, you will need materials. It will take time because you need specific level to craft your specific best tier weapons. But you can do it by yourself. You don't need to go to fucking endgame content to get your weapons. So that's good.
I even found a dungeon that required you to have 100 logging skill in order to get into the center of the building where 99% of the loot was, including the boss fight of the area. Now, I've never seen an MMO that required a crafting skill to fight a boss before. That one was a first for me, and I found myself hacking away at trees to get the last 4 levels of logging skill I needed in order to be able to make the challenge. That was really cool. Insofar as quality of life stuff is concerned, the user interface seems a little bit too spread out. For minimalists such as myself that prefer smaller, clean UIs with the ability to see more of the scenery rather than the UI implementation elements, I would like the ability to be able to compress this into a much smaller form factor. The same goes for pinned and tracked journal entries for whatever quests you're working on. The ability to resize something like this would allow us to hold on to potentially more pinned quests at a time, and also the ability to be able to move these journal entry items around, for instance, would also clean things up significantly as well. There also seems to be other UI elements like this cooldown option that you have that you can enable inside of the settings menus that unfortunately seem to be overlaying on top of things like the corruption debuff counters, just as a matter of example. The only other major suggestion I would have for this game is that there needs to be a company shared vault of some kind. Currently, there isn't one. It's real difficult for a company to take inventory of what people have, and even in the case of house ownership, there isn't a shared bank that a company can utilize right now to coordinate with each other regarding materials. I think that would be very, very paramount. All right, now the script for this video, as of this point, is rivaling like 4,000 words. And there are things about this game that I haven't even talked about yet, like declaring war on other towns and having 50 versus 50 battles to see who gets to own it next, and the extreme lag associated sometimes, or the invasion mechanic that the game's AI implements, where you need a full raid of 50 level 60 decked out guys with good gear and good coordination to beat a 30-minute long encounter of constant corrupted enemy waves attacking a town in order to prevent it from having its crafting stations downgraded, that feature things like cow-launching siege weapons and giant floating oily skulls that fire giant insta-giving laser beams from its eyes. Nor have I really done anything but just mention player housing, but how owning a house in a certain town gives you global perks that can further augment things like your luck in finding rare items, or allowing you to build lockers that expand your storage in that town. or that it acts like a cheaper secondary Hearthstone that you can recall yourself to as if it were in another inn, which significantly reduces the Azoth spending pressure, or even just the global corruption zones that you come across that end up giving you pretty decent rewards and things that you need from there to build keys to get you into dungeons. The point I'm trying to make here is that for all of its flaws, I think Amazon Games has a bona fide hit on its hands. Remember, I'm not being paid by Amazon to make this video, and I bought the game myself to see what it was about. I just went in with an open mind to see if it was going to keep me interested or not. Now, truth be told, when playing this last year, I made about 10 hours, and then I got super bored during the alpha preview. This time, I genuinely enjoyed the time I spent questing, grinding, and learning about some of the tricks and strategies. And now, even after 200 hours, I know there are things that I haven't learned about it yet, but I look very, very forward to making additional educational content about the game once it goes live at the end of August, and I honestly cannot wait to get back into it. Yes, the game is simplistic on the onset, but I think that's a good thing. To me, the best games that I can remember playing were always the ones that felt easy to pick up, but difficult to master. Stuff that made you think to yourself, oh, this is easy. But then as you dig deep...
I mean, if you have bow in PvP, it will be so pain in the ass. Because it will be so hard to shoot, and you need aim if you wanna shoot it. Everyone is dodging. And yeah, it is one trick how to dodge times. So in New World, if you dodge one time, if you dodge and same time will change your weapons, you will dodge 2 times instantly. Because how is dodging now is just dodging, you slowing, and if you dodge again, he will dodge again. Like 1 second space between dodging. You can avoid that and just dodge a lot of times. That should be a huge one. This one.
Jeffrey Bezos.
I need to go smoke. Oh yeah, boys. Just give me a second. I wanna go smoke. Let's do this. This. Smoke time. Oh. Forever. Much. Yeah, boys and girls, be right back. Let's just put music for you. Waiting for me back. Boink. It's working? Yeah, it's supposed to work.
Bezos literally...
Okay, be right back, boys.
What's up? In the dark like a ninja, as I told ya, if you fall I will carry like a soldier. As a black kid, I've never been peddling. There are still hearts darker than my melanin. Where are the bodies? Because it stenches like a little girl I forgot in the trenches. I should know these life is usually pathless. See, my bonds don't cut, they burn to ashes. Now tell me, do you believe in blue skies? How a dove doesn't know it's a bird, it just flies. As a person, human hues without shame, because he was baptized in the black flame. It is simple, but it is not easy. I have checked every avenue, believe me. Do you trust me? I wish I could say it's simpler. This is my way of the ninja. Sometimes this life she would never hug, man, cause she got a pretty face, yet she feels ugly. I don't need cheering up, so why you lying? When I go inside, I am really crying. See, the boy has it all, yes, I see him, until he gets imprisoned by the same freedom. Can you tell me, why are we laughing? Hold your breath, cause he's drowning in his passion. There are times when I wonder why I be, cause I've always been blind. No, I still see. I would rather want the cut for the bleed, because you say you have, yet I still need. When I go inside, I find the real you, but aren't you? See, the boy has it all. Yes, I see him until he gets imprisoned by the same freedom. Life's a drunk mother. The baby she would push and shove as her stubby small hands are trying for love. I am like the old soul that you see begging outside in the rain when you just left him, but I still complain. Where the fun be, though a simple smile is more than money. Understand it's sad and quite funny when the lemon starts tasting like honey. I'd rather see some more carbon copies. It is just music, only a hobby. Even at the end, would they know my plan when word was born and now it's a man? Can you tell me, will I offend them? Chidori, till that I sing. So till I just stop and I can any day. It's hip hop, rock, manga, anime.
Went to space because he earns over $300 million a day and doesn't know what else to do with it. Meanwhile, Amazon Games can't program a running animation and are clearly using a server they found dumped in a canal somewhere. New world. Let's do this. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. I'm Josh Hayes. Today, we're going to be playing Amazon Games Studios' new MMORPG, New World. Now, in order to set our expectations correctly, let's remember the most successful game Amazon Game Studios has released so far, Airport Mania HD. In fact, it was so successful it spawned a sequel. Then they started to work on the new Lord of the Rings MMO right up until they decided to not keep making that because they fell out with Tencent, and both companies threw their toys out the pram and sat there seeing who could ignore the other the hardest, so straight off the bat you know we are dealing with professionals. New World has been in development for a few years now, and for some strange reason Amazon didn't send me a beta key. Maybe the guy who was sending out beta keys got called away just before he reached my name and had to tuck Jeffrey into his nice shiny space suit. So I tweeted about this absolute miscarriage of justice, and lo and behold, the absolutely majestic, Yorkshire tea sipping knight of the realm himself, the spiffing Brit, sent me a beta code like the absolute gentleman he is. So, New World. Basically, a few years ago, Amazon shouted, "Hey, who wants a full loot hardcore PvP territory control MMO?" And about 5 people put their hands up. But then 3 of them went to play Mortal Online 2, and the other 2 realised actually they don't want that. So Amazon said, "Hey, who wants a PvP focused crafting heavy MMO with area control?" And the entire player base of Life is Feudal, about 20 people.
Because the funny part, if it will be like hardcore PvP, it will be just annoying. And fuck, I need. This will be too much annoying and too much hard and not fun to play. Imagine if you're farming someone to make your weapons and just 2 people just come to you and kill you and you lose all your loot. It's fucked. It's not funny to play. So they need change this part somehow.
Looked up and slowly started to show an interest. So then they released the alpha, and it turns out when you tell players who live to grief others to make their own fun, their version of fun actually isn't. So Amazon Games finally said, okay, how about we add some PvE challenges and an actual plot and make it somewhat solo friendly and make PvP voluntary opt-in to prevent further griefing, and now we're getting somewhere. If you pre-ordered the game for $40, you'll get access to the beta. That's correct, you are paying to test their game. You would have assumed they could have taken some of the army of Amazon employees to test it, but no, clearly the QA budget went on Jeff's penis rocket. Opening cinematic, rainy streets with dude in cool metal mask, reminiscent of 16th century Spanish conquistadors, such as Pedro de Valverde, Juan Ponce de Leon, or Cortez from The Road to El Dorado. Chat to a spooky old man with red eyes in a bar. He gives the metal mask dude a magical box, and then we set off for adventure. We are a member of this guy's crew, and now the character creation begins. It's actually a very nice transition from cinematic to creation, but unlike more modern character creation engines, there are no sliders. You've got several preset faces, and feature shapes, some hairstyles, and a few hair colours. Not the
I mean, come on. That's somewhere where we probably will improve, and I hope so we will improve. Character creation is a little bit bad.
best, not the worst. But what I'm thinking right now, and this thought will come up again often, is this doesn't feel like something made by a $1 trillion company. Character made and we log in. Now, I'm lucky to be playing at low load times because these queues on launch day were insane. Some people were waiting up to an hour, and as we'll see later, this game's servers are made of tissue paper and wishes. More cinematic, the whole ship is destroyed by a huge stone pillar rising out of the sea, and we wash up on the beach and the game begins. WASD movement, space to jump, but as we approach the captain, we get attacked and combat controls are shown via a quick time event. I don't hate this. It gives us the basics and lets us see the effect of each click. Nice and simple. Right mouse blocks, left mouse attacks, hold left click for heavy attack, press shift to dodge. You've got a stamina bar that's used up when dodging or blocking. It's basically cheap Dark Souls. Have a chat with the captain. He wants his box back, but instead of waiting decides to melt. Doesn't even give us his sweet mask. Shame. Tab opens your inventory. This is laid out really nicely. 1 and 2 hotkeys bound to your main and secondary weapons. Quick item slots assigned to 3, 4 and 5. Armor and skilling equipment are all shown. We equip a shield as the tutorial forces us to. We eat some food and then get exploring. How to describe combat. Imagine you ordered Dark Souls from Wish. This is what would arrive. Once you've clicked an attack, there is no animation cancelling. You can't block or roll away from an attack animation once you've started. And the enemy has no real telegraphing of attacks. There's no audio or visual clue they're going to attack. They just start the attack, and if you block a split second too late, you get hit. You just kind of need to know when to block. It's not bad by any means, it's perfectly serviceable. Now, I personally love Dark Souls combat, and I appreciate the slower, more tactical nature of choosing your move and living with the consequences of choosing the wrong one. But if you're after a more reaction-based action combat system, this will feel somewhat clunky and unresponsive. Kill this elite dude and get a skill point. Using a weapon increases your skills in it, and all weapon skills level separately, so you get better at whatever you use. I like this system. It rewards time and effort invested into your chosen style. Have a quick meander up this hill and we're greeted with the in-game actual start. And honestly, graphics are nice. Music is great, atmosphere is lovely, combat is decent, UI is clean. It feels good, but it still doesn't feel like a $1 trillion company.
And yeah, at this point when he's saying it's not feeling like trillions, how is
has
he?
Made it good.
Like big company, like who have a lot of money to make this game. I mean, I agree on that, but it doesn't matter if company like Amazon have insane amount of money. Maybe we just don't wanna take this money and just put to a game.
But I am still holding out hope. I mean, these guys made Airport Mania HD. I am sure they can deliver on the world's greatest MMO. So the game takes place on the Isle of Aeternum, and as we descend into this pit, we get to see the issue with Aeternum. The island is surrounded and sometimes covered in this stuff called corruption. And here's our old captain friend. He has been corrupted, and now we fight him. This is the first moment I start both having fun and feeling disappointed. This fight isn't bad from a superficial standpoint. Animations are smooth, combat sounds are nice, atmosphere is great, but mechanically it's very bare bones. Light attack, block, sometimes roll. This is a set piece of your game's opening and it feels somewhat lackluster. Halfway through the fight, the captain blasts us with a beam of light and we are teleported inland. Now, depending on your server or your real life location or just how Jeffrey is feeling on any given day, you can actually start in a few separate places. Now, each start is basically identical. You'll have the same quests given to you by differently named but identical NPCs and you will learn the same skills. Now here's the biggest difference between this PvP and crafting focused territory control MMO and all of the other PvP and crafting focused territory control MMOs. New World actually has something resembling a plot, or a narrative and an adventure line that you can follow to learn the basics. You know when people say, this game doesn't hold your hand, well I've explained before that's an awful way to introduce new players to your world. You need a small amount of hand holding until the player is confident enough to go and play solo, and New World does seem to hit that balance quite nicely. There is no minimap, but there's also no auto-pathing. There is a compass to the top and a green mainline quest symbol to guide you though. The early quests are all voice acted and the voice acting is fine. It's not fantastic, it's just fine. Maybe some of the voice acting budget went on Jeff's soft little space booties, which I can only assume are lined with mink and probably light up as he runs. And now a small movement issue. It seems the motion capture budget ran out mid-stride because running forward takes about 3 steps and then locks you into this position. And this isn't just me, others are gliding around like this too. Now, full disclosure, this didn't happen when I played a few days ago. But I'm recording now and it's happening now, so this is what the world gets to see. If you run sideways, it's still fine. This only happens when you run directly forward. As you explore, gather resources and fight, you'll level up, and you can spend your level up points on one of 5 skills: strength, dexterity, intelligence, focus, and constitution. Each stat actually shows you what weapon it affects. This is really nice design and makes choosing where to put your points much simpler. Movement with a weapon drawn is not only still bugged, but actually much funnier. This NPC sends me on a cooking quest and we get to open the journal. The quest journal is actually fine, cleanly laid out, easy to follow and read. For all the mechanical issues the game has, the UI design is not one of them. Or like the ninja we are, and it doesn't even fight back. Like the boar doesn't even care that it's being attacked. Press E to gut the boar, gather some meat, and run back to the camp. At this point, I'm actually running sideways everywhere because it looks less stupid than just gliding around. Cook the food into better food, then get sent off to search a shipwreck. Environments are lovely. Music is understated and fitting. Light rays and reflections and textures on everything look nice. The actual level design is top-notch. It's just the moment-to-moment gameplay, the combat and the general server status that's really letting this game down right now. First impressions are good, apart from the mechanics. Around the land randomly, usually guarded by enemies, you'll find supply caches. Search them to get stuff, from ammo to weapons to armor. They're basically a little reward for exploring and fighting. Talking of fighting, it's average. There are moments it shines, like when you've memorized an enemy's attack patterns and you can block or roll at the right time, wasting no time in dispatching them, or when you can chain a heavy attack and an ability to kill them quickly. Like, it's not a bad system, it's just this game was made by $1 trillion company. I'd expect something better than I've ever seen before, and that's one of the issues we'll come back to. The game is good, but it's not better than anything currently already out there. Here's a feature I quite like. Travelling to a new landmass shows you the suggested level of the area you've just arrived at in general, but there's nothing to stop you from travelling anywhere. See, this is the perfect amount of hand-holding. The game is saying, hey, I'm not going to stop you doing this, but just so you're aware, it's suggested for this level. It's giving the player all the information they need and then letting them make their own choice. It's the freedom to listen to advice or to ignore it, and this is great. There is a more elite enemy on the ship deck. They've got a shield, so you need to use a heavy attack to break the shield block. Some actual tactics, I like this. Another treasured cache gets me a cool spear. And then I get chased by a load of zombies. Again, I like this. It means even at low level, it's a very lethal MMO. You aren't unkillable. I actually wonder what PvP is like. I promise I will do some PvP before the video ends. Oh, awesome. The first spear skill is a throw, like a javelin. Right. And you have to parkour over the ship's broken frame to gather some quest items. And oh damn, the spear throw hitbox is actually really nice. Projectiles are traveling 3D models, and the enemy hitboxes are mapped really close to the enemy model. This level of accuracy is essential in an action game to make it feel fair. A few more quests get me a bow, and then I'm sent to explore a local cave. Yeah. The main problem here is wielding a bow makes the leg running glitch worse. It looks like I'm skiing along with one ski. In the cave, in quite an awesome touch, 3 of us seem to form this rather impromptu group.
This animation when you're shooting with bow and then camera angle just go much more to the bow. It's kind of insane. Like, specific this one. That's
we don't
fucking
talk
I like.
To each other.
I like
we just communicate in the classic MMO way of jumping around and fighting the same stuff. And then, just as this unspoken bond of camaraderie grows almost as powerful as a spaceship
And another thing, your arrows can end. If you have a shotgun, your ammo will end. Always need or craft by yourselves or just buy ammo. That's not bad.
Engine, we reach the boss and the others run off and leave me alone like a forgotten Amazon parcel. The chaplain boss is pretty cool actually. Some minions, some attacks to dodge, my spear throw has a stun effect so that's nice, and killing him gets me some more loot. This is basically what the PvE aspect of this game seems to be. Find some corrupted, powerful NPCs guarding treasure, kill them, get treasure. Back outside, I received some territory points. With most of the PvP gameplay being focused on area control, your faction can own land masses or cities. And as you do stuff in each territory, you can earn territory points to unlock certain buffs while in that territory, like reduced trading tax on some market boards, increased experience, or more faction reputation gained when you do stuff. This is an interesting system that rewards map exploration, and we'll have to wait and see if it has engaging long-term benefits. Oh, you can also fast travel to places you've unlocked, but you need to spend a resource to do it, and I don't have any of that resource. But I really like this system. It means early game travel is essential, but late game travel gives you the choice of paying to get to places you've already been quicker. It's cost versus reward. Again, it's kind of similar to Dark Souls 1 with the Lord Vessel. The gameplay you've seen was recorded on a new account made to redo the starting zone, but I'm switching back to my main account because I've got a cool pirate costume and I want to do some PvP. The game has all the standard comforts of home, a personal bank account known as a storage shed, a market board auction house where players can buy and sell things, and honestly the town ambience is terrific. The armor and weapons are grounded and just stylized enough to be interesting without being garish. The general graphical style of the Spanish conquistadors is held really well. The color palette of the bright green foliage contrasted with the darkened timber is visually gorgeous. There's a wealth of smaller touches like ferns and birds and tapestries hanging around. Visually, the towns are really fleshed out and they are a joy to walk around. The soundtrack is so well fit, you don't even notice how much it's enhancing the overall ambience. They have knocked environmental design out of the park. I mean, they've basically sent it into space, which is great because now...
I mean, I just can't imagine how much time Amazon team was spent just to make this city because it's so detailed. Every single map of this city, so nice detail. Sweet.
Now Jeffrey can also enjoy it. And now comes the join a faction moment. It's a territory control PvP game, so of course there are 3 factions who all absolutely hate each other and stand for different things, yet all somehow coexist in the same town. You've got the Marauders, big angry shouty boys who want to smash you in the face with the hammer of freedom. The Covenant, who are all religious zealots and want to hand out free hugs and see the good in everyone despite the fact there are literal zombies eating people's faces. And the clearly superior Syndicate, who are a bunch of super smart boys who think magic is cool and maybe we should try using that. Oh, quick bug, running toward a set of steps doesn't actually cause you to descend them properly by keeping you on the floor. You just shoot off the end and then crumple into a pile on the floor. This is dumb. Fix this. So I joined the Syndicate boys, flag myself for PvP and head out into the wild. The global chat is saying something about a fort to the east being attacked, so I get jogging. I may only be one man with a musket, but I can hang back and snipe like the best of them. On my way there, I run into someone from the opposite faction, flagged for PvP. He is a higher level than me, with more money, more weapons, and more armor. He seems superior to me, but I think I can win. He's Bezos, I'm Branson. Let's do this.
And he get wrecked. I mean, the saving is insane. And that's the point. It doesn't matter. Oh, Gustavo! Hey baby, long time no see. Stop spoiling your experience with the world. It's not my experience, it's every YouTuber experience. And on PvP, it's no big deal if you have very high weapon or you have low weapon, you know. It's just much more about your skill or how you can aim. Yeah, he win.
God damn, I actually won. I'm gonna be real with you, I did not expect to win that fight. I guess that just goes to show, while warhammers may be intimidating, spears are the best medieval weapon. Thanks, Lindy Beige. The fort is far to the
These videos are so great. Oh yeah, I love his videos.
east still, so I get running.
I'm a big fan of Josh.
Running through higher level areas, avoiding roaming enemies, sometimes fighting them, and then we face the biggest hurdle so far, the most difficult enemy in the entire beta. The lag. Seriously, are the servers you are using made of the finest potato? Because it's been dire. Every world is lagging. Everyone is crashing. If this is a stress test, how many people were you actually expecting to play? You are $1 trillion company. You've been advertising this game for 5 years. How were you surprised when people wanted to play the beta? Every MMO launch ever has been met with day one lag. You should have been prepared for this. Eventually, the lag subsides and I build a camp. These are your mobile respawn points. You just need a few sticks and some flint and you can build them anywhere as long as you're not too close to civilization. And just as I'm about to heal up and go and join the Fort Assault team, the server completely crashes. Only the finest potato, eh, Jeff? The finest potato. Right, so, New World. While I was streaming this a few days ago, I had a really good time. The environmental design is quality, the ambience is really immersive, and the UI design, both overlay and in menus, is fantastic. It's got enough guidance and early game quests to teach players all the basics, then it's got a fair amount of PvE content like map completion and achievement hunting that you've always got a goal to aim for. You've even got the daily resource quests you can collect from any of the main towns. The crafting is simple to understand but covers a wide variety of weapons, armor and food that setting up your own build and kitting out your own inventory is going to take you a while. It's a solid adventure game. The PvP element right now seems fine, it's just being held back by the lag. The fact that I could defeat a higher level using movement and tactics shows it's not just number versus number.
Exactly.
Skill does actually seem to matter, or it did when I was fighting. My main concern is Amazon is a $1 trillion company. This beta is a month away from full release and it's just not on the same level of quality as the current big MMOs. It's not got the storytelling and plot focus of Final Fantasy XIV. It's not got the depth of builds and deep lore of the Elder Scrolls Online. It's not got the platforming of Guild Wars 2. I can't comment on the endgame because I don't think anyone's got there yet. It's not a fully hardcore PvP focused game like Mortal Online 2 or a fully PvE focused game like Neverwinter. It's a decent adventure game with decent enough graphics and voice acting and decent enough combat, but it doesn't yet do anything, any single thing, better than anyone else. Imagine if this game didn't have the Amazon name behind it and it launched from some no-name studio. Would it still be making the waves it is? Probably not. I think Amazon are using their name recognition to get people to play. And they have the foundation for a really, really good MMO here. But it needs a bit more polish, some animation bugs fixing, tightening up the combat and speeding up some of the animations and sorting out the terrible lag. If Amazon are willing to invest time and effort into this game, it could be something fantastic. I can see the potential, but as it stands, I don't know what type of MMO player you want to appeal to. I don't see it dragging players away from any established game because it doesn't do any one thing better than anything else. It's not PvE or PvP focused enough to really hyper-focus and capture that demographic. It seems to be trying to be quite good at everything instead of an industry leader at anything. When the game releases, I'll review it again and I'll give it a score out of 10. But until then, I will be grinding away, enjoying my time because it's not a terrible game, it's just not there yet. I also need to think of a way to repay the spiffing Brit for getting me the beta key. Hopefully he'll be happy with a box of tea bags and doesn't need me to do something stupid for a video idea. But until we know, cheers for watching. A massive thank you to all the supporters on Patreon.
That's not bad. I mean, it's funny how every different content creators have different opinions about like MMOs. And if you go to the New World, it's not enough just look at one video, because every single content creators have different opinions about New World. Yeah, New World powerful bow exploit. I don't wanna know. I don't wanna know exploits. Nope.
Hey guys, what's up?
New World closed beta gameplay review from 17 years. Wow. veteran.
House with another video, and today I want to talk
I
about
need to do
closed
2 more
beta
push-ups.
gameplay and review. So I actually really enjoyed playing New World for the week that the closed beta was available for anyone that pre-ordered, and I have to tell you guys a little bit about it.
Yeah.
It was really fun and wasn't all good though.
I mean, I'm always look at it Josh, like mostly, because I know companies can buy it. That's funny part. It is not impossible for companies buy Josh to make like nice video or nice review about MMORPG. But this kind I think is very nice.
Though, and I'm going to share the pros and cons from a perspective of a 17-year WoW veteran. I played since the beginning, since the stress test of original vanilla WoW. Played WoW for a long time, and so I'm going to be looking at New World from the lens of a WoW player. And I know a lot of you who are subscribed are probably WoW players too, almost certain of it. And so hopefully I can make New World make sense through that lens. I'm going to break this video into 3 parts. We're going to talk about quests, we're going to talk about just other miscellaneous things, and we're also going to talk about professions. So all of that, and let's get started right now. Now, when it comes to quests, I like how there are lots of quests, and you can accept them all at once from the in-game menu. You actually don't even need to be anywhere in particular in order to pick them up. That's something that already differentiates this game from World of Warcraft, where you have to go around, find the person who's going to offer you the quest, and then you have to, you know, bring it back to them. That's not the case in New World. Yes, that still exists for like the main storyline, but when it comes to quests on the quest board, you can just pick up everything. You don't even have to be in the town, and you can pick those quests up. It's amazing, and what's really cool about quests is that there are actually gathering quests, and you know, WoW, as far as I know, either never did this or very infrequently, to the point where I don't really remember it. I can think of some profession quests where it was like, go gather, you know, these things, but you know, it was never like, bring me, you know, go mine, you know, 15 ore and bring back 15 ore. Like maybe you would get a quest where it was like, bring me 15 ore, 10 light leather, and like, you know, a copper bar, right?
Oh,
or something. And you know, usually it was like multiple trade skills. It was like, come on, I can only have 2, and these are totally random, right? So I thought that I liked that there were gathering quests, and you could just go and, you know, get the stone, get the flint, get the you know, the hides from the animals. I actually really enjoy these gathering quests. So like in World of Warcraft, there's like kill quests, and then there's like you know, loot quests where you have to like bring back quest items. This is a little bit different because these aren't like quest items, these gathering quests. So like definitely, you know, I went to the trading post, sold a bunch of stuff, and then that I didn't need, and then I would just go buy the items that I needed for these gathering quests, and just immediately be done with them. So that's kind of like WoW style min-maxing a little bit, but something I thought was really cool. Now, I also want to talk about the storyline, because that's really, you know, the quest chain, the whole experience. I have to say the story was not compelling. Maybe it's not a fair comparison because I grew up with Warcraft 3. I read, you know, I mean, the campaign was captivating in Warcraft 3 and Warcraft 2, honestly. And, you know, this story did not compel me. I didn't read more than the first few quests because it honestly did not pull me in. It just wasn't fascinating. I started just skipping through the dialogue pretty much after the first like 2 quests. I really like the interface though. It reminded me a lot of WoW's interface and how quest tracking works. You can pin quests just like you would shift click to track quests in the top right of your screen in World of Warcraft. I also really like how level doesn't matter as much as it does in WoW. For example, as a level 11, I can easily defeat a level 15. I noticed this right away. I thought it was kind of scary, like, oh, I don't, you know, in World of Warcraft, you can barely touch someone who's, you know, a little higher level than you. In New World, you can absolutely take stuff on that is higher level than you. So that I actually really liked about New World. It wasn't as punishing for being low level. Now, I do want to talk about some other topics. Common MMO class themes appear missing. You know, the summoner, the shadowy character, right? I'm thinking warlock, right? That doesn't seem to exist. Also, the rogue type character, right? A thief or a, you know, a rebel, right? You know, where they steal and they use daggers, they're stealthy. Totally does not seem to be in the game. And also the animal companion type character, right? Hunter or ranger. You know, there is a bow character, but I don't really get the sense of the same sort of style. And this is not necessarily a good or bad thing. It's just themes that I usually see in games. You know, I'm thinking Guild Wars 2, they had this type of theme going on, but this
I hope so. New World will not add any companions. Each book. I mean, okay, if he will add companions, it's not supposed to be way too much. Like
it's different, you know. Like if you look at you know, having a musket or like a rifle, there's like, you can use traps, right? But if you have a bow, it's something else. So it's not necessarily like you're the hunter with the traps and the bow. It's definitely they're trying something new. I'm not seeing like pets in the game yet. I haven't seen any like way to tame beast or to summon demons or to summon, you know, elemental creatures or anything like that. You can summon a frost pylon though, which looks pretty cool. And because of you know, because of there are no classes actually at all, I feel like the game is actually missing a sense of individuality. Like you're missing a feeling of being unique or special. Things like the Hunter Pet Quest at level 10 when you finally learn how to tame beast, or the entire Death Knight starting zone where you got to really feel like you were a Death Knight. You know, you were special, you were different from everyone else. The Warlock Demon Pet Quests where, you know, with each demon you have to go out and, you know, basically earn the right to summon it, which is extremely fun, and the lore is amazing. It's a great time. Warrior armor and weapon forging quests, it's perfect for the class that really needs good armor and weapons to progress at a decent pace. You know, shaman totem quests, even though the water totem quest is nowhere near fun, I'm still glad that these totem quests are in the game, because now you feel like you earned the ability to use these totems, which are quite powerful. All these quests were in, you know, were some of the most fun in all of WoW, if you ask me. I really loved that class quest, and that's a big reason I liked Legion, actually, was because you had those class quests for those legendary items. It felt like you were special, like you had a, you know, you were on a unique path that no one else was on. Now, New World doesn't have that. In fact, everyone is pretty much exactly the same until you start getting different weapons and you need to choose which weapon you want to use, which then sort of determines your class, so to speak, depending on which weapon you're using the most. And then from that weapon, you do have 2 different paths you can go down, and so that's sort of the only level of individuality you can get. But honestly, like, there's no visual aesthetic difference that I can tell between characters. Everyone just looks the same, and I can't tell which class, you know, is which, or, you know, what type. Are you a healer? Are you DPS, a tank?
That's funny part. He's speaking about classes, and yeah, point is, New World don't have classes, because you can be DPS and healer at the same time. If you have Staff of Life on yourself and bow, that's it. You healer and you are DPS. He's just way too much comparing New World with World of Warcraft.
I just can't tell the difference between people. Maybe I haven't played enough, but I really did not feel a sense of being special or that I was special.
Because I think that's what's happening when people just playing a lot of time on one game, and when we have another game which one maybe will be interesting, we will expect to have same stuff, like, oh, where is magical triangle, like DPS, tank and healers, and New World don't have this one. So he trying to find something what does not exist in this game.
Specialized in anything. Now I want to move on and talk about professions. There's also no limit to the number of professions you take up. You can do it all on your character.
Yeah, it take forever to make all.
I feel contributes to a loss of sense of individuality and feeling like you have a unique contribution to add to the game. For example, in World of Warcraft, I specifically rolled Affliction Warlock to bring important debuffs to the raid like Shadow Embrace, the 5% damage reduction, and improved Curse of Elements. This feeling of being important and different and offering a unique contribution to the raid is important to me. And I feel like this is totally missing from New World, since you can just learn to be everything if you had enough time, and trust me.
Yes, he's here kind of saying true. You can learn everything. Every single profession, but it will take forever. It will take a really long time and you can boost it. I mean, it's kind of makes sense.
People will have enough time to max everything. There will be people who are, you know, a tank and a healer and a DPS, and they're every profession you can think of. You know, sometimes gathering takes a bit too long for me, and it kind of feels boring, or like I need to alt-tab. It just kind of feels like a time sink. Granted, yes, if you were mining a boulder or chopping a giant tree down in real life, yes, it would take a long time. But it's a fantasy game. You know, realism isn't something that should be prioritized. I think if they wanted gathering to be more engaging, maybe do something similar to how fishing works, which I'll explain a little bit later. Another thing is that you can actually level by just gathering, refining, and crafting. So these are the three different types of professions. The gathering professions, the refining, and crafting. So you get the raw materials like stone, which you can refine into like bricks or whatever. You know, you get the raw hides, you can turn into leather, and you've got, you know, when you go fishing, you can actually turn fish into like life motes or food, right? And speaking of fishing, I actually really enjoyed fishing. It's actually a lot more engaging than WoW fishing, that is for sure. You need to basically click once you have a fish on your hook and then hold the left mouse button to reel it in, but you need to release that button every now and then so you don't snap your line. It's actually pretty fun. The only thing I didn't understand is how to catch 3 large salmon. I was fishing for a good amount of time and I didn't find any, so I might need to maybe try fishing in different bodies of water, but overall I thought it was pretty good. Now the game itself definitely has bugs. I didn't see too many, but I did notice that the bobber bug when fishing, basically when you cast it out, the bobber just remains there, and you can see here like there's like 6 bobbers. One of them's like splashing, so there's definitely bugs in this game. But you know, I only found one, so who knows how bad it is, but did notice that. When it comes to combat, though, once again, New World is much more engaging. I mean, compared to auto-attacking as a paladin, like you throw on a seal and you just auto-attack a mob down, right? Super boring, right? Well, this game blows WoW out of the water when it comes to being engaging. You know, you need to literally click repeatedly to attack. There is no targeting feature, so you need to aim everything manually, even your melee attacks. And there's also just regular attacks, and if you hold the attack button, you do a stronger attack. So I would say the game in general is much more engaging than World of Warcraft. So to summarize everything, I think New World's a fun game. I actually found myself drawn to play it over World of Warcraft after I did my dailies and stuff on WoW because I wanted to explore a little bit more. But it definitely has a deep, like the core of it feels missing, and that core for me is feeling like I have a class or a role to fill, and that I'm unique, and that you know, I have something unique to offer, right? Like in World of Warcraft, maybe it's because it's known, but you know, I just felt different as a hunter because I had a pet. I felt different as a shaman because I had totems. I felt different as a warlock because I had a demon. All these things that make you literally stand out and feel different, I don't see in New World, and that's a big downside for me. I don't like that at all because it's really just about what weapon you're holding. That is what's going to differentiate you, and anyone can just switch and put on a different weapon. So it kind of just feels like everyone's the same. So guys, that's my review. Overall, I would say, yeah, try it out. I think it's, you know, for like $40, it's pretty fun. I had a good time. Gathering's pretty relaxing and
yeah, boys and girls, I need to go sleep soon. Fuck this shit. Why? I don't like sleep, but yeah, boys and girls, thank you for watching. Thank you for today. And I don't know, maybe tomorrow I will stream something else. See? But yeah, Friday I will finish my Neverwinter. At least, how to say, at least level 20. So I need like 8 more levels or 9 more levels on Neverwinter. It'll be fucked. That. So boys and girls, thank you for watching and see ya on the next one. Bye bye.